Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today na Tuesday, number 28 day for this month of May 2024. My name na Capo Daniel, una own countryman, sense past king, Lukong. Una welcome to our daily podcast, a program where they bring una the truth. It bring una meaningful information, fact-based analysis for help we as we work out for this journey to our freedom, to the independence of Ambazonia. Our good people at home and abroad are bring una revolutionary greetings. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I go decide for play for una the audio messages them for the Zoom meeting we'll get them with our international partners, the partners of the People's Right Advocative Platform, this big United Nations-based organization will then win their support amongst two other one them way the nobody be public. We will get the meeting with all Ambazonian activists, Ambazonian organizations, and all the social media platform them where they then champion the cause of our people, their freedom. The meeting will be passed fine. It will be a confidential meeting, but because some people they will record the audio them, they share and part would then decide to make we just release for public accountability the entire audio them. It be regrettable, but we believe say people they need to get the complete picture. We then secure for our people the biggest victory for our quest for freedom, access to the United Nations. As we prepare, we're going to send out another invitation for the leaders them, as well as for activists and for social media platform, the way they done support this struggle, and for important personality, the way they done fight for this struggle, may them be a part for this big march for our freedom. Do not miss out of history because of our weaknesses. Our people then deserve the best. So I will leave the entire audio, the overlong. It will be almost 3 hours meeting. We're gonna listen everything very detailedly. I think it will also be an opportunity for our people then for hear which way the international community that they think for hear the capacity we would then build them for help for push a solution where it will grant our people them their right of self-determination. It will protect their identity and it will guarantee us our independence where it be very dear for we. So we're gonna listen for the first part. I will divide them into two because one it will be too long for carry data. So I will share them into two. We'll release one part today. We will release another one and we will get another comprehensive briefing through a video message. So maybe we'll go directly for the audio.
May all the soul of our beloved who have departed, may they continue to rest in peace. Amen.
Amen.
So straight away, we go to give a time for the chairperson will give us a brief introduction and a welcome speech for all who have been invited while the program is unfolding. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General, Apostle Paul. And I want to thank everybody who have taken their time to respond to our invitation to be here. I will start by saying that by participating in this forum, in this meeting and discussion, no participant is endorsing our position, but they are simply just participating in the meeting and honoring an invitation so that they can hear directly from us. My vice chair also is there who will be speaking, and our approach have always been that of guerrilla tactics. That means that we want to stay anonymous. So everybody who is here, we are not going to acknowledge anybody's name. And we also want to say people might use different name in their screenshot, in their username that may not be their name, just for disclosure. So I want to welcome all of you. I think most of you know me already. I'm Capo Daniel. I'm the chairman of the People's Right Advocative Platform. We have called this very important meeting today so that you can hear from us and also meet some of the international partners that we have found along our way in this journey. So you are all welcome. We want to start this welcome speech which I've written so that I don't go off script. I'm going to read my opening speech to all of you. We acknowledge in the People's Right Advocative Platform, which we are going to be calling PRAP, that the aspiration and the dream of our people is for total independence. We believe that it is the sacred duty of all people of our territory to fight and make sure that this dream of our people become a reality. We of the People's Right Advocative Platform, we respect the right of every person in our territory to political organization, political participation, to express their view and opinion on what they think about this struggle and the future of our territory. We want to welcome all our guests today, including our international partner. We regret that one of our international partners could not participate, but we are very happy that we have today the International Community Organization, who quickly confirmed their participation when we declared an end of hostility. We think that those two things might be linked, but that was the case. So we are going to present to you in a transparent manner how we think and how we believe we can achieve the ultimate goal of independence for our people. We are going to give you a very comprehensive and how we believe we can attain independence. There are many organizations, personalities, and social media platforms that are all working for our people's aspiration to become an independent people. All of them have their own roadmap, their own ideology, and their own way of pursuing this objective. The Republic of Ambazonia, for example, makes it seems like a mathematical equation where by just filling in the right answer or choosing a multiple question, you have the right answer and the examiner is going to give you a pass. We respect every approach by every organization, personalities, and social media platform, as every citizen is struggling to attain this goal. We of the People's Right Advocative Platform, we have been at the forefront to resolve this conflict that we are currently going through. Our actions and declarations are all geared towards resolving this crisis. Our members have adopted the end of hostility for our organization to demonstrate our commitment to a negotiated settlement. This decision arises from the recognition that pursuing independence for Ambazonia right now is only unfeasible, but will prolong the suffering of our people. For us, PRAP, securing autonomy is, however, possible. It will require us to adhere to principles of non-violence, human rights, recognizing the potential of dialogue with La République du Cameroon. PRAP has initiated a multi-pronged approach, engaging various organizations and stakeholders to achieve these objectives. After discussion with the ICO, which is present today, PRAP acknowledges the ICO capacity to support our goal to find a resolution of this conflict and to secure autonomy for the Ambazonian people. Our international partner who is here today, the ICO, has focused on the zone of the possibility and align with us in our strategy to pursue autonomy for Ambazonia. Consequently, PRAP have commissioned the ICO to draft our position paper, the peace plan paper, based on the principles that PRAP have outlined with our meetings and communication with the ICO. We believe that this position paper represents our best opportunity to resolve this conflict and facilitate the safe return of refugees and secure the release of our political prisoners. Our strategy have as immediate priority the release of all political prisoners, return of refugees, and the integrations of our Ambazonian fighters. Mr. Secretary, can you turn off the microphone for Scaramanga, I think? So, with this, I welcome all of you to this program today, where we hope to present to you our peace plan paper, our strategy, and as well as our international partners, so that you can have an idea to talk to us directly and also even engage with our partners even afterward, with the hope that we are going to meet here physically in Canada to strategize on how effective we are going to engage the international community in view of our invitation to the United Nations. So my vice chair is going to address you people, and we'll stick to the schedule that have been read out by our Secretary General. Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Clearly.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chair, for that introduction and for those words of welcome. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everybody. I want to thank you all for taking time to attend this meeting. I would not say much more to add to what the Chair has already said. We approach this initiative from three practical perspectives. There are lessons that we have learned for the last 8 years of our conduct in all the efforts and initiatives that we've undertaken. We have demonstrated resolve, resilience, intentionality, determination. We have made our fair share of mistakes. And we have come off where we used to be. Very that in the midst of everything, that different phases and stages in which the struggle has gone, we have almost a stalemate on a range of issues. After a number of initiatives, there has been a very significant deterioration in the enthusiasm and support that comes from our people, for whom we are, as far as the proposals that we have put on the table and their implementation up to this point. So in this state of demotivation, in this state of confusion for most, and from the fatigue, the fight for the last 8 years, there is a gap and need for a fresh impetus for our issues to be put on the table. It is that gap that this initiative is seeking to fill. Our setup, our operations, and our engagements for the last couple of years have not enjoyed the kind of support that we desire and understand we need from the international community for a variety of reasons. I can just add one or two of those reasons, principally because within the relationship between state parties, nation to nations, there are actions and initiatives within the context of the global war on terror and the appetite of the international community at the moment, where certain state parties do not want to be associated to certain initiatives. Now, for those of us who have been seeking to knock on a variety of diplomatic doors, it has limited the caliber, the level of people who have been willing to welcome us and entertain our narrative and our quest, notwithstanding the well-established merits of our case and our argument. And we have made that argument. We have documented it. We have taken it we have knocked on all kinds of doors. 8 years has taught us that the international community does not have appetite for a specific approach and of a specific language. And we believe that it is our leadership responsibility, therefore, to demonstrate an understanding of how the system is operating, what their disposition is, and to adapt and to adopt and to adjust our engagement to be able to have access to corridors of power. We have been extremely fortunate, as Chair has said earlier on, to get the support of international partners that have an extensive network, that have a good diary,
have a good list of people that they have access to, both within the business community, in the international business community, and within the international diplomatic fraternity. And this is the one thing that for most of us that have been engaged in this for the last couple of years, we have struggled and fought very hard to get. We figured that it was necessary for us to take advantage of the support, capacity building, in technical assistance, in advisory, and in just being there and ear to listen to, that these international partners are offering us, and that we have an understanding of the system, its functioning, and that we can, within the platforms that they can open and create for us as doors, be able to still go into those spaces and put our issues on the table. We felt that it was an opportunity that we should undertake, and this is one of the reasons we are very persuaded about, and we are proceeding. And I think that their presence here this afternoon, and hopefully in the course of our engagement with them, will give us an understanding of why we felt very strongly that this was indeed an option to take on board. Third, finally, and not to talk for too long, the last component has to do with our appreciation and understanding of the imperative of the involvement of domestic actors. One characteristic that has typified our engagement for the last 8 years, which has been very positive, has been the amount of talking we've been talking amongst ourselves, and how disconnected our conversation has been from domestic actors. And that the access to domestic actors, we are talking about people who share to a very large extent the concerns that we have about the state of our people, the historicity of our story, and the future that we desire. They may not share the same views we have with them on the outcomes, preferences that we've given ourselves, boxed ourselves into specific holes of we want this outcome or that outcome or that outcome or that outcome. But they are, for a very significant, a large percentage of people who agree with the fundamentals that our people are not where they're supposed to be, and they require to get they are entitled to the pursuit of self-determination as a people. Now, we have then from that perspective said, whether it be now or in the future, whatever solution that we will arrive at, we cannot do that in the absence of domestic. When I talk of domestic, I'm talking about home-based actors that have platforms, that have the ear of the people, that enjoy the sympathy of the people, that enjoy the support of the people, that are recognized as a people. And so we believe that as part of wanting to put these solutions on the table, we need to, in a very intentional way, go out there in advocacy to engage in those platforms where these opinion leaders are sitting, to be able to tell them, this is our thinking on this subject. We are firmly convinced of the fact that at the end of the day, it is going to be a people's decision, a consultation of the people that is going to ultimately determine. It may be preference through a referendum. It may be preference through some sort of negotiated settlement that leads to a referendum. It could be through a series of solutions that we have held tight onto up to this point. But the implementation of those solutions from our understanding of historical antecedents, how such conflicts are resolved and solutions are arrived at, that consult the people, validate, set up institutions to implement the change that has been fought for moving forward, would have to do with the consultation of the people. And they're talking about the people who are on the ground eligible to vote or to voice or participate in a referendum and so on and so forth. And so we believe that one of the things that we needed to correct from our last 8 years of engagement was to start associating those domestic actors to all the solutions that we are putting on the table, knowing that we have had our brothers and that have taken us arms as fighters on the ground. They are stakeholders. They are people for whom the solutions that we're seeking and preferring have material implications for the future and the future of their families. Their voice matters. We have domestic political actors that have been on the ground, that have supported our cause in one way or the other, who are stakeholders, who have access to the ears of the international community that is based in Yaoundé and is working on the ground. Their voice matters. And we felt that one of the gaps and the innovation that we want to bring forth in the approach that we are adopting is to draw in those domestic actors at an earlier stage, to be able to let them to understand this is our thinking, this is our planning. I need to close up in this my initial remarks by saying upfront, we do acknowledge, and we are the first to acknowledge, that this is not a watertight solution. We are the first to acknowledge that it has limitations. and that it's not it's not a silver bullet that will solve all of our problems. Our plea and our submission to our people is to understand that here is one initiative that has a huge potential, a significant difference. We are calling for inputs, we're calling for support, we're calling for endorsement, we're calling for criticism, we're calling for constructive engagement. It's not sufficient for us to be just dismiss it with a wave of the hand to say and give it all kinds of names and tags, but it is for us to be able to get people to make concrete inputs that can have the potential of improving this for the well-being of our people. With that, I'm going to stop at that, Chair, and everyone in the room, and just express appreciation and hand over the meeting to the coordinator. Thank you.
Wow, indeed, it is not a water type. That was a good analysis from our VC. VC, we thank you so much for that vivid explanation. I believe we are all here not because of one thing or other, but we must have been hurt in one way or other, seeing the suffering of our people and seeing what our people are going through. And that is one of the reasons so we are here. And I believe God will help us and He will see us through. So straight away, we will be giving the floor for our ICO to maybe introduce themselves to us and tell us. Then from there, we can know them and we can move on from there. So the floor is open for our ICO.
For the moment, just before they come in, I want to still introduce the ICO. Is the International Community Organization. It's headed by Mr. James Holmes. As you people can see, it's a UK-based NGO that is affiliated with the United Nations. We came to know the ICO through their work with Ambazonia, working with the United States Institute of Peace, that helped to organize a roundtable meeting in 2019. We also have known their work with the policy, the global policy studies in about Cameroon, and they have been involved in this struggle with many other organizations. And we have approached them, we have given them our vision, and they have helped us a lot with capacity building, with helping us to adopt best practices with research work, and also to facilitate dialogue as we pursue this our vision. And like the Vice Chair have said, our vision does not exclude other approaches, but as an organization, we believe that our approach is attainable. And so we are very happy to receive Mr. James. Mr. James, please welcome to this meeting.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, everybody, and greetings from the UK. And I hope I can be heard. So, thank you to the Vice Chair and to the Secretary General for your comments, and Mr. Chairman for your kind introduction. So, as Chairman Capo Daniel has said, we have been invited to support his organisation, but all of you, in finding a way forward. The ICO, as you've already heard, is involved in conflicts and resolutions acceptable to all parties in other parts of the world. We've already had some success in some of the countries that we work in. We're independent and we're neutral, and we're very grateful to Chairman Capo Daniel for inviting us to support the work that he and his group are undertaking, but also to support the work that you and other groups are undertaking as well. Because at the end of the day, we are independent and we are neutral, and that is the best place to be able to help. As you've already heard, we have an affiliation with the United Nations. That took us 3 years to achieve that. There were 2 rounds of votes by the countries, votes in Geneva and votes in New York. And after a 3-year process, we were elected to that affiliate position. And we can use that position to help make progress with you, with all of you, and with everybody in Cameroon to move this whole process forward. So how do we do that? Well, we draw in our work, we draw on successes from elsewhere, from around the world, from processes that have worked, from peace agreements that have worked, from reconciliation efforts that have worked. So we draw on that best practice. And in our team, we have retired diplomats, we have lawyers, and we have academics, and we have practitioners who've been involved in conflict resolution in the Middle East, in Asia, in Africa, and in Europe. And we draw on those teams and we bring them in to work with groups like all of you to help towards shared goals, to establish those shared goals, and to begin to move in the direction of shared goals. And this would be underpinned by capacity building, which I'll touch on in a moment, and by research. And what we have been commissioned to do by Capo Daniel is to engage with each of you independently and work with those of you who want to work with us, so that eventually you can all reach as many shared goals as possible. And as has already been said today, it doesn't mean that you all have to agree on everything, but it is an effort to find some common ground. So what have we been doing in Cameroon so far? Well, we've been working on training and on education, and we're already actively involved. And a large number of people have already been through our training programs and our education programs throughout the country. We have worked on business support, finding businesses to help, to support, to create jobs, to create cross-community jobs. We have, as you've heard, been involved with working with the US government and the University of Massachusetts, where we have funded and supported and co-hosted talks and sessions to try to find common ground. So as you have already heard from the chairman, we are here because of the announcement by Chairman Capo Daniel of the cessation of hostilities. And for us, that has been really important, because we operate on the principles of non-violence, of human rights, and of inclusion. And it is that announcement and the chairman's approach to seeking the maximum possible autonomy for the people that you all represent that moves this into the zone of what is possible. Maybe not what all of you want, maybe not ideal, but the zone of what is possible. And that is where we can support you. Not just one of you, not just one group, but any of the groups that are willing to work with us. And that is the request that Capo Daniel has made of us. So we can help to work on a paper, and have already helped to work on a paper that draws on principles set by people throughout the English-speaking regions, input from anybody who's willing to have input, and try to get to the point where as much as possible can be agreed within the zone of what is possible. And then we can help with the next stage, because the next stage is building on that reconciliation. The next stage is delivering the benefits to the people that you represent. And we can do that in a number of ways. I've already made mention of our association with the United Nations. That allows us, as you have heard, that allows us to have meetings with countries, with other international organizations in New York, in Geneva, in Vienna, and we've already done it. And in fact, next month, we're doing it for another country and another conflict, where we're bringing people together in front of up to 30 countries in Geneva. And we would like to be able to do the same to support your work and your efforts. And our plans are to work with you to approach governments and international organizations to highlight the efforts to peace in Cameroon, to highlight the efforts of reconciliation, and to look for the common ground around autonomy. But even after that, we can help in practical ways, microeconomic ways, training for those who've been involved in combat, grants, business support, helping ex-combatants and others to to set up their own businesses or to secure a job. These are critical underpinnings of reconciliation. Macroeconomic. We work with businesses in South Africa, in the UK and Dubai. They have already committed in writing, in contract, to assisting with the development of a port, to assisting with reopening mines and reopening agriculture, so that we can play a small role in helping you to allow your economy to flourish. A role in helping you to paint a vision for the future and a vision for the people that you represent. And these things are real, and these things are possible, and we have done them elsewhere. The key is staying in the zone of what is possible, because that can then lead to these things. We have already started work on capacity building with civil service, with public officials, and we will continue that work. Because whatever institutions exist in the future, whatever government arrangements exist in the future, capacity building will be an important part of that. So I'm very, very grateful to the vision and the leadership of Chairman Capo Daniel to take that courageous step of announcing a cessation of hostilities for those who work with him. That has allowed our work to begin. I'm also grateful to him for saying, as he has to us, that we remain independent and neutral, and that he is encouraging us to work with all groups and to find ways to build common ground amongst all of you as the basis of a future deal and future negotiations. So this is your meeting, and we are very privileged to be here, and one of my colleagues is here as well. And we will be listening carefully and noting down the comments that are made and the things you say. And I hope that after this meeting that there'll be others of you who are willing and able to work with us, and others of you that would like to talk to us, and to see how we can support you in your process, not our process, your process, and to see how we can support you in getting to that goal of delivering a new future for the people that you represent. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you for inviting us to be involved. Thank you for inviting us here today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce our work and explain a little bit of what we've done already. And I'm looking forward to listening carefully to the rest of the day and the rest of the session and learning how we can continue to support the initiatives that are being taken. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. James, and your team that are in standby. And thank you, everybody who is here today, and those who are not here. Some have sent me messages that they are in the waiting room, and I'm sure they are not. But we are very appreciative for everybody who have come to this meeting. And I'll take it from the SG. So it is time for me to present to you people our peace plan paper. And those who have come late, we can also brief them later on. You have heard from the leader of the ICO, and now I'll present to you our strategy. As we have said earlier, we believe that it is the sacred duty of every sons and daughter of our territory to work for our ultimate goal for independence. But for us in the People's Right Advocative Platform, we have chosen this path as a best way for us to attain that goal. That goal for us requires that, in principle, that we must adhere to non-violence, human rights, and recognize the potential for dialogue. That is essential for us based on our interaction with the international community and the calculations that my vice chair have put forth to you. We have to engage multiple organizations, stakeholders to achieve this objective. Our main plan of this peace plan is to be able to gain a critical support within the international community and endorsement from state party of our solution for the maximum possible autonomy our people can have. That is going to secure in that autonomy through devolution a pathway, a possible pathway for our people to attain their objective and leave that door open. While in the immediate effect of this peace plan will be that we will expect prisoners release, secure prisoners release, secure the return of our refugees under these plans that are in the peace plan paper, assisted return, and also to reintegrate our soldiers that are currently fighting on the battlefield. I will start first with our main plan, which is a peace plan paper. The peace plan paper, it is not exclusive. That means that we know that there are other plans out there, but for our organization, this is our plan. And we believe that all Ambazonians should be collectively engaged in this our plan, and we are also open to engage in other plans, and we hope at the end of the day this plan might actually evolve. So we are not watertight like the vice chair have said with our plan and say this is it or nothing, but we believe in having a written document for a solution that the international community can point and say we support this specific solution as a solution to end the crisis. The peace plan, it is in this document that have been well researched thanks to the ICO. International experts have weighed in on the document before it was produced. It has taken into consideration strategic concession that will appease the Cameroon government, as well as strategic position that is going to secure Ambazonian possible independence in the future by demanding constitutional, not administrative measures to put in place for the autonomy through devolution of power and authority, and the redefinition of the state of Cameroon to be that which is inclusive of the former British Southern Cameroon and the former French Cameroon in their constitution. Those are the benchmark. What will happen is that when we succeed, I believe we will succeed to have the support of the international community that endorses this solution and the endorsement ultimately of France for this particular solution. What will happen is if Cameroon accept the peace plan paper, it will mean these following things. One, it will mean that Cameroon have accepted in principle and committed to the international community that devolution of power as spelled out in this paper is the solution. That means Cameroon in principle have accepted that devolution of power is the solution, and they are willing to negotiate on how that thing is going to unfold. Then we will get into the part of now negotiation. Before that negotiation, our plan is that the first confidence building measures are going to be ongoing while the table for negotiation is being prepared or is actively going on, which is the release of political prisoners who accept as well the peace plan paper. So this peace plan paper is not only for Cameroon, it is also for us, Ambazonia. For those who accept this peace plan paper, what it will mean is that they adhere to the principles of the People's Right Advocacy Platform, which is number one, the abandoning of the demand. Remember, the abandoning of the demand of independence does not mean we are not pursuing independence. But number one, it means that you have dropped the demand for independence. Number two, it means that you have accepted to cede hostility and choosing the peace by peaceful means to resolve this crisis. This is now going to open the door for the confidence building measures for Cameroon to then release political prisoners who sign up to the peace plan paper. Grant amnesty for the diaspora who sign up to the peace plan paper so that they can be able to go home and engage. For our refugees, to open the door for our refugees and our soldiers to be integrated back into our society with an assisted program that will be managed by the Cameroon government and representative of the Ambazonian movement. We have engaged through our partners with companies that have signed up to and are willing to support this project. That means that the Cameroon government might not need to spend his budget to rebuild our houses, to train our soldiers, even in terms of establishing our police force, which eventually will get state money. But we have had this as a stick and carrot, where we are sure that the international community will invest, and we have already done the grasswork to know companies that are going to invest. There are companies that want to invest in our resources, our mines. There are companies who want to invest in our seaport. We also have companies who want to invest in our international airport. So the Cameroon government, by accepting this peace plan paper, they know that they are not going to spend a lot of money, and more money is going to come into the country, and it's going to help us, our soldiers as well, to reintegrate with our municipal police and the various institutions that are going to be in the state and the legislature during the implementation of the peace plan paper, or a negotiated final solution based on this peace plan paper. So there are a couple of things that will kick in when we get there. The peace plan paper have not been submitted to Cameroon officially, but through our back channeling, the Cameroon government knows exactly what is in the peace plan paper, and their reaction have been positive according to our readment. And there have been some back channeling, back conversation on certain indicators for us to be able to believe if they are positive or not. That has involved allowing a space for our soldiers to de-escalate. There are a couple of soldiers that worked with me that have been removed from the battlefield, with the Cameroon government allowing this process without interruption, and those processes are part of our de-escalation. We do not believe in exclusive solution. That means those who want to fight the Cameroon government, we do not oppose them. We can criticize them because we don't stand for that ultimately, and we can celebrate their victory while we expect them to celebrate our victory. We believe that multiple approach towards the same goal is the best option for our people. So even though we stand for non-violence, that does not mean that we must necessarily oppose those who continue to pursue the path of violence, but we will definitely have a strong position to defend that may require us criticizing, even accepting that other options are right, but this is a path we have chosen for our people. In our public engagement and public campaign, we have explained to our people and to many of you the content of this cease plan paper, which I'm going to just use a minute to run through so that we can have a time for open floor discussion, because we want to hear from you. We want to hear your question so that going forward we can know those whom we can continue to work with to build on this capacity. And we have also commissioned the ICO to discuss with the other Ambazonian groups freely and engage with them and see whether they can also work with them to pursue their various paths. Because we believe in enforcing and reinforcing every organization in this struggle, not undermining them. But we are very aggressive when it comes to undermining specific actions that we believe are counterproductive to our ultimate goal. So in the peace plan paper will be shared to any participant who make a request, the updated version. It starts with the preamble that basically lays the vision of the peace plan paper. It goes to our cooperation with other groups, cessation of hostility, ceasefire, temporary ceasefire, permanent ceasefire, paramilitary activities, demobilization and decommissioning of our fighters, reintegration, justice. Then you have the future of our territory, which talks about the constitutional arrangement, which we term a new social contract between our people and the central government, or between the two people that we believe are part of that country that is currently called Cameroon. Talking about the preservation of our territorial integrity, we want the Constitution of Cameroon to reflect the territorial borders of Southern Cameroon being that of a state within that state. We have self-governance. We want to govern ourselves, to have our own governors that are elected directly by our own people, and have legislature that are elected by our own people, and have those legislative body have civil service that back them up. We also want to have a single legislature and the possibility of having a joint session if we do not secure that particular single legislature, but we believe in maintaining the uniqueness outlook of our territory. The devolution model is modeled after French system. There are some examples in France. France have 16 other territories that have autonomy, full autonomy, and a higher degree of autonomy, even better than federation. We believe that identifying with the French model gives us an advantage, because we don't want to be seen as a hostile anti-France movement that is developing in Africa. So we want the French government, we have piggyback on French territories that have autonomy through the devolution of power. These territories all have their flags, they all have their their identity. They all participate in international competition. They have their parliament. They even have president in those territories, but they are all considered as one France, but they have 16 territories. We also want a judicial branch with appellate jurisdiction within our territory. That means we want our territory to have exclusive common law. We don't want French law in our territory. We want French law to be in the appellate or Supreme Court level with specific bench to deal with issues that come from our territory. We also want a democratic election, and we want electoral body for our territory alone. That means an organization that is independent, that organizes election, keeps registry within our territory. We want a public registry that does administration in Ambazonia to avoid duplicity and extortion of our people through multiple need for people to certify document, so that when you have an ID card, nobody will be asking for your birth certificate, and you don't need to go through that process where our people repeatedly certify document to make application into exam. We also want a legislative and cultural heritage to be maintained. We want to have an independent municipal police where our own people will police our territory. They will investigate crimes, they will control traffic, and it will take us back to the memories of the old days of West Cameroon. We want this solution to come in through an independent referendum. We want an independent Anglo-Saxon educational system that is not under the Ministry of Education, but that is independent and works with the professionals within that sector. We want the provision of humanitarian aid to be managed not by state institutions, but by organizations that have been set up specifically by the warring factions. That means us separatists with the Cameroon government will be in charge on how humanitarian aid and support are being made to our people post this conflict. We want specific arrangement for loyalties to be paid on natural resources that are exploited in our territories. And we also want to have an international trade status within this devolution, similar to what Hong Kong have with China, or what China acknowledges from Taiwan, so that we can independently engage the international community. We want the participation of Commonwealth to be that of an exclusive territorial matter. That means we don't want Francophone territories to represent us in Commonwealth issue. We want it to be exclusively a matter of the people of our territory, and the Francophonie can remain with the Francophone territory. So this is our peace plan initiative that we have proposed as a measure to solve this war. We will share the paper with all the participants who make the request, and we will go from there to see those we can get over here to help us to build capacity. And I think now I'm going to leave the floor open for our Secretary General to continue to guide us in the program, to have an open floor discussion on all the topics that we have discussed, and even for questions from our members or participants in this meeting. Thank you all very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that explanation, and we appreciate. We have heard from the ICO, and we will give a floor, a brief question, one or two, if you have any question to ask the ICO on their own part. We have also heard the explanation from the chairman, the peace plan process, and we'll also give an open floor if the question has to be asked from that perspective. Then we'll discuss on the various method, the various outline he has stipulated. So the floor is open. If you have a question, please, you can indicate with your hand if you have a question for the ICO specifically. Please, if there's any question for the ICO, they have introduced themselves, their capability, their capacity, and their level of engagement. Please, if you have a question for them, you can raise your hand up. Yourself, you can unmute yourself and go ahead.
I think
is there any question? The ICO, they are here to answer any question. Is there any question for the ICO? They have introduced themselves. I believe we have heard them clearly. before we can move on to the next.
I can. Go ahead.
Who is talking? Then go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, and thanks for being part of this Zoom call conference. I'm very, very happy. I've had the chairman, the ICO, the SG, and the vice president. I'm so happy and so excited with their presentation. And it gives us in ground zero courage, and it shows us that it's prosperity that will happen is one day. My question is this. I heard the ICO say that they only came in because the chairman accepted to declare non-violence, and that's why they accepted to be part of the organization to bring in the People's Plan Advocacy Platform to their organization. So I'm happy for that. My question goes that if there are other state parties that have been involved in Ambazonia, for example, we have so many, the IGs, the Ayabacho, if they are invited or to come in, would they accept them to be part of it if they stop the violence? Those people who are to sign the People's Platform in order to be released, would they be part or member of the organization of the PACP? And I also think that as far as peace is concerned, I will try to also ask if the chairman will have to involve the church the most, because they are a community of peace. As we know that Christians are for peace, Muslims are for peace. Would they be involved? How I think they should be involved, and if they are involved, how we should contact them? Thank you for now.
Okay, I will paraphrase the question again for our ICO. Thank you so much. We also have two questions in the group chat. Our ICO, the question has been posted to you people that since you have the opportunity to discuss with other members of the Ambazonia and the other leaders, and if they refuse to accept and they want to continue with their own method, how are you going to implement that, or how can you accept that kind of approach if they refuse your hand? So I don't know. It's over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, we're here to work with those who want to work with us. So we're not here to set your agenda. We're not here to tell anybody what to do. We're here only to support. So those that are willing to work with us, we would like to support you. And those that feel that they do not want to work with us, we will accept that. In terms of my point about a cessation of hostilities, it is related to my point about the zone of the possible. A cessation of hostilities is what allows progress to be made on the lines that we've heard today, and what allows investment to be made and jobs created and capacity building to begin and external training and support to begin. I'm not advocating what happens. I'm just telling you what can happen, what we can support in, if the environment is there for us to do so.
Thank you, ICO. We appreciate. Before we get the two hands that are raised up, we have a question in the group chat. Can we hear from all the members of the ICO team in the meeting? That's a question to you, sir.
So sorry.
Yeah. The question says, can we hear from all the members of the ICO team in the meeting? Is that possible?
So I'm supported by one colleague who's here with me today. But when we engage with groups, those of you who are willing to speak to us, then that will be a good opportunity for you to meet us, to meet our team, and to get to know each of us. I think that's the right opportunity to do that.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. This other question said, who is the International Community Organization? Which organization exactly are part of the coalition?
So we are one organization, so international communities, i.e. all communities around the world, including your own, an organization because we're just one single organization. We're independent. We are not financed by anybody externally. We have no government affiliation. We have no government financing. So we're one organization, and we're independent, and we're self-funding.
Did you not answer the question, sir?
Mr. Advocate, can you paraphrase?
Insofar as I haven't answered, it's because I haven't understood, not because I'm avoiding it. So if the question can be asked again, I'm happy to expand on my answer.
As James has repeated that, what is your name, sir, and that of your partners?
Well, if you mean, my name is displayed. My name is James Holmes. In terms of the partners of our organisation, as I've said, we are an independent, standalone organisation. We're not funded by any government, and we're not funded by any external party.
Okay, Dr. C, your hand up. You can go ahead. Dr. C, Agbo, you can go ahead with your question. Your hand is up. We have 2 hands up.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can get you, sir.
Okay. Now, I'll ask. This question goes to the ICO James Holmes and probably Capo Daniel. Now, are you guys aware of the U.S. Senate resolution 684? And do you think that this your peace plan is better than that one? Oh, let me put it again. The United States Senate has researched this issue, and they have proposed a solution, and they've passed it in a resolution 684. Do you think this peace plan is better than what the United States have researched?
So I will comment from an ICO perspective, and then allow the chairman to comment from his perspective. From an ICO perspective, the US Senate resolution is a peace plan or a peace initiative that comes from overseas and is instigated by people who do not live in Cameroon and who are not part of your community. What we seek to support is internal plans, internal progress, your plans, your ideas. I can't tell you whether one is better than the other. All I can tell you is that they're very different. That would be my comment.
Yes, but our problems...
Can I, Mr. G?
Let me finish. I will not finish my questions. Our problems come externally. France, we're colonized by France, the same as Britain. The language we are speaking now also came through colonization. So it's always an external force. So but the United States Senate stated clearly what they will do for the people on the ground. They will rebuild. Now, what I'm asking is, the people on the ground, they don't have the resources to rebuild. And the government of Cameroon has no leadership. You might call it leadership, but it is no leadership, because one person can decide on one thing, another person comes and refuses. So you're working for a country that has no leadership. So the United States is the supreme power on this planet. They can decide. They have a lot of instruments within them to enforce. They have economic sanction. They can sanction individuals to that country that they will not be able to move. And if they cannot even touch their own money, the money that embezzled from that country abroad, they cannot touch it. And if they cannot pay their military, this same military will remove them. So the United States has a lot of instruments. With your peace plan, what instrument has it got to enforce?
Thank you, Dr.
Chair, maybe before you give conclusively, if I could just comment.
Go ahead.
Hand over to you.
Go ahead, VC.
Dr. Agbo, Charles, thanks so much for that input. I think a very short answer to your question is that Resolution 684, it's an intervention that requires mobilization and engagement of domestic stakeholders for implementation. So it's complementary to the peace plan. It's not antagonistic to it. It's not contradictory to it. Like the chair said, and I think as we all master and appreciate, we would need a variety of engagements to be able to attain an ultimate solution. If the U.S. government has taken a position that has clearly stated their intention and sense of direction of where things should go to, that's a policy position. Policy positions require a certain level of engagement of actors on the ground, which engagement of actors kickstarts, activates, and we can refer back to that resolution for action. So it is now our responsibility to be able to take initiatives that involve domestic stakeholders to push towards the resolution of the conflict. And in our engagement with the U.S. as a potential and a very significant partner, we have their resolution as a point of reference. We tell them, this is what we are busy doing. This is how it aligns to what you took as a resolution. This is where we need you to come in and support us what we're doing. But at our level, as you and I sitting on this platform, and at the level of our people on the ground, we need to, in the engagement of all our partners, be doing something concrete and practical on the ground to move the conversations to the negotiation table. I will hand over to you, Chair.
You don't have the critical mass on the ground. You don't.
Thank you very much, VC. Dr. Agbo, I think you want to give us a chance to answer a question so that you can better assess if we have answered your question or not. So your question that you have asked is that, is our peace plan paper better than the United States Senate's Resolution 684? And I will give you exactly what the resolution says. The resolution was as a result of discussion that were going on within the United States, that majority of Ambazonians really helped to advocate for those discussions between 2019 and 2020. The resolution, which is published in the website of the Senate, reads as follows: Resolution 684. A resolution calling for the government of Cameroon and separatist armed groups from the English-speaking Northwest and Southwest region to end all violence, respect human rights of all Cameroonians, and pursue genuine, inclusive dialogue towards resolving the ongoing conflict in Anglophone Cameroon. The date of this resolution is signed as 1st of January 2021. Following this resolution, we have also followed up this resolution by appealing. I remember that time I was with the AGOVC. I specifically have wrote letters to the U.S. State Department citing this document because the American government, they have 3 arms of government. The legislature can take an action or put principle. It is now left for the executive branch, which carry out their policies. We have appealed to Anthony Blinken. We have had some feedbacks from him. I specifically have had some phone conversation about this resolution. But what the executive branch did under Anthony Blinken of Joe Biden was that in June 7, 2021, following this resolution, they announced visa restrictions that we know for sure affected Ambazonians and not even Cameroon government. So they had given some visa restriction. That document is also posted in Anthony Blinken website. And that is as far as the government have gone in America to institute this their policy. So even though the United States legislature, their senators can make resolution, those resolutions will remain on paper until the executive branch prioritize how they carry out the actions. And so far, that is as far as they have gone. Can we wait for the American resolution? If it is fully implemented, what it will do is that it will ask us to stop fighting. It will ask the Cameroon to stop fighting and get into inclusive dialogue to resolve the problem. It did not prescribe any solution. Now, compare this with our peace plan paper. Our peace plan paper prescribed a specific solution to the problem. Anthony Blinken's statement after January 7 reiterated that the position of the United States supports the territorial integrity of Cameroon. It means that they are opposing separation of Cameroon officially. But the peace plan prescribed for devolution of power that separates Cameroon practically or technically into two entities within one country. So our own peace plan is far more better to give our people maximum autonomy and independence than the resolution that the American government called. And we believe that we have the capacity to obtain this autonomy by engaging the international community, which we have done so far. We have attracted organizations that are independent, like the ICO, and some other organizations which we don't want to mention without their agreement, to help us in this journey. So if somebody chooses to wait for the United Nations resolution to be implemented, I think that person may have the judgment. But for my judgment, I think that the peace plan paper is far more better than the resolution of the United States. And we hope to have the United States endorsement of our solution, because it is in line with the policies of Anthony Blinken that have been outlined in their website. And in our engagement with them, we believe that the peace plan paper will meet the American expectation to resolve this crisis. I yield.
Yeah, can I come back?
We still have some questions. I will come back to you.
I just need to come back to this because your peace plan does not include negotiation. What the United States resolution is saying there, it talks about negotiation. And you cannot start prescribing things which are supposed to be things that you get from negotiation. You already prescribing a solution for things that supposed, we have not entered the negotiation yet. You get things from negotiation. We cannot accept less than we deserve. You go to the negotiation table to iron out, what you deserve. So, but how can you be prescribing something when you have not gone to the negotiation table? Okay, does your peace plan, does it include negotiations? And why are you putting things ahead of the negotiation?
Yeah, Mr. Dr. Agbo, just to answer your question, you specifically said that our peace plan do not involve negotiation. Our peace plan calls for negotiation on its basis. That means the solution we have prescribed is a demand. For us, we have put forth a demand. We say that we want devolution. That does not mean that the devolution in itself and its content is what we are going to get. But we are demanding devolution as a matter of principle, that this is our position. If the Cameroon government accept that they can engage in this solution, that means they want to give devolution, then we can negotiate the content of that devolution, which we have already prescribed our own content of that devolution. But the peace plan paper is a point for negotiation. It's just like when you have a conflict with each other, before you go to court, you have to write down what you want. What are you demanding? The demand you are making, or the writ that a lawyer submits to court, sets the stage for any engagement and the basis for engagement. So our peace plan is not a predetermined outcome, but it has predetermined the parameters of an outcome that we can accept. That means we are saying to Cameroon, we cannot accept anything less than devolution. We are demanding devolution as a start point. If you agree to constitutional devolution, then now let us sit down to negotiate the terms of the devolution. For us, we have already prescribed our own terms. We have already done the hard work to get support for our own term. We have an economic plan that is backed by viable entities, both in the private sector and in state parties, that we are still pursuing. But we are having a concrete plan. If, for example, if they ask you want independence, you have to write, what independence do you want? Do you want independence from what? You have to be able to spell out. So this is just reducing what we want, what we are demanding in writing to be negotiated. So it is not a prescribed, it's not a predetermined. We have just prescribed the basis and the parameters. I yield.
Thank you, Chairman. We'll get to the next person. And I also want to encourage Doc to go back to our VC statement. He said, our policy is not watertight. We are liberal, we are open. So we might not actually be the best, but this is our own stand. This is what we are looking at as a solution.
Okay. Good evening. I am Paris Martin. I acknowledge the presence of the chair, Capo Daniel. I acknowledge the presence of the VC, and I acknowledge the presence of the international communities and all other participants. We know order. I was very, very grateful and a lot of insight from the literature from the VC and other questions that have been coming. And I will also applaud this organization for this initiative that they take. They say insanity is when you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. We've been fighting for 8 years and we have not seen any result, and people are coming with their criticism and their critiques. And I believe this is the only tangible plan now, which I am putting my support behind it. People will come with their criticism, is welcome, my question here will be directed to the International Communities Organization. They have already presented only the carrot method. We are dealing with a very rogue regime, and which we know from time immemorial, they have a precedent of not applying to rules. And I want to ask them, and even the organization, with their very, very brilliant peace plan initiative, what stick method do they have in their heart in case these people do not bend? In other words, what other method do they have to implement this? I yield.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. So let me talk about what we have done in other countries. And the way I think forward, and it's not easy, is to build momentum amongst yourselves, to try to find that common ground, to try to get as much as possible into a paper that you all agree, and then to push that paper forward. Push it forward with your people, push it forward with the government, push it forward with international actors. We've already discussed the Americans, there's the Europeans, there's the United Nations, there are other regional countries, and you build that momentum. And the sticks come in from the parties that you're building momentum with. The sticks come from a people who are happy with a plan and call on the government to accept it. The sticks come from international organizations who say this can work, it's time for a settlement. The sticks come from Washington, from Paris, from Brussels. The sticks come when those organizations and those countries see that there's an opportunity for peace. So I think the way to get there is not ICO sticks. There are no effective ICO sticks. The way to get there is to have as much unity amongst yourselves as possible, to agree a plan that works, the zone of the possible, I've described it, something that you believe the international community can support, something you believe would be palatable to the government, and then to push forward with that in the ways that are being discussed today. And the more parties overseas that are outside of Cameroon that pick it up and support it, the more sticks will be available. And that is what we have sought to do in other areas that we've been involved in.
Thank you, ICO. Thank you. We also have a question on the chat that how will your organization get rewarded by working with us? I don't know if that is okay with you.
I've seen that question, and luckily I've already said, we are self-funded. We're not being paid by anybody, either within Cameroon or outside Cameroon. There is no reward for the work that we do in a commercial sense or in a money sense. And we prize that independence and that neutrality hugely, because if we were funded by a government or funded by somebody from within Cameroon or funded by a big organization, then we lose some of that independence. So we are self-funding, we are independent, and we have no reward in any form coming for the work that we're doing.
Thank you so much, sir. We still have one raise up. I don't know if the person is there from Qatar. Person from Qatar, please, are you there? Your hand is up. Okay, we'll continue. I believe there are no other questions for the ICO, and there are no other questions to our chairman. So we'll move down to the next agenda for the ones he had aligned before. So if there's any contribution on what he has said, the floor is open to you to give your own contribution. Before we go to any presentation, if any of us have a better presentation, you can bring it on the table. But let's go to contribution. From what you have heard and all the points he has aligned, he has talked about, from what we can see, he has talked about temporal ceasefire, amnesty, declaration, discussion, devolution. He has also talked about policing in future Ambazonia. So if any of those points you feel you have a contribution, which can also be of great importance, the organ.
I think Mr. Advocate is asking a question that you might want to consider, Mr. Secretary. SG, are you there? On the comment section, I think Advocate is asking some questions. He's from the group Soccer Mint.